Let me ask you a question. Are you a business owner or just a freelancer, anywhere in between there, and feel like just, in your bones that your browser could be set up a little bit more optimally? Maybe you have like multiple Chrome accounts or something like that, Gmail accounts, and they're just like all in there, and it's just a mess. Well, my name is Mark Joseph Szymanski, and on this channel, I normally like to talk about web design and adjacent topics to the industry space and everything like that. I do, one of my other real big passions, and is very related, is optimization, efficiency, operations, those types of things. And with me being an agency owner since 2018 and still being a real person, I've had to combine this personal and business aspect of my life into a just some sort of way that is much more efficient. And recently, I'm talking within the last 6 months, I have not like done anything crazy innovative, but I do think that this setup, as you can see from the title of the video, it's changed my business and it's changed my life. I just want to share it with you because I think that it's incredibly valuable. And if you're not doing something like this already, then I think you really should consider it. So let's just dive right in, and I'll show you exactly my notes for this video and the topic here. I will preface this by saying that the title says Google Chrome. Hopefully that drew you in a little bit, but this doesn't necessarily have to be Google Chrome. I know there's other browsers out there that I just don't use. There's Brave, there's DuckDuckGo, Firefox, all these other ones. I'm sure they have some sort of equivalent. They are just not Google, built by Google. So, the profiling system might be a little different. But what I want you to do before we even dive into this is take the concepts of this video and apply them to any other browser that you might be using. But it's going to work really good with Chrome. So let's take a look. All right, so the first thing that I think you should do is decide on like what areas of your life you actually have to manage in a way from a browser perspective, from a file perspective, from a communication perspective is really what we're talking about. So I'm going to use mine as the use case, but again, you do this little worksheet kind of type thing and do it for yourself. So personal is one for me, right? I have personal finances. I have personal communication, XYZ, whatever, right? Then I have Szymanski Media, which is kind of the entity that you see here with like my MJS, my personal brand type stuff. I can categorize that as a second one. And then the third one is Find a Tech, which is my agency that we build websites for clients. So those three things are like kind of, again, you can see here in this table on screen, the big buckets of separation. And I will tell you after we get through this list how I used to do this and how maybe you're doing it right now. And then we'll talk about the actual, the way to make this better. So we don't necessarily have to go through all this, but you can see there for each one of these, I said, okay, what am I using for browser? All the same. What am I using for email, which is either Gmail or Google Workspace? What am I using for communication like text and phone? It's either like, a carrier like Verizon and Google Messages, or it's Google Voice. We're using Google Password Manager. We're using Google Calendar, Google Tasks, all that. When you are utilizing all of these in one browser, where you go to, the very familiar thing of like going to a new tab and you click up here at the top right? And then you see like 3 to 5 different email accounts. I get this all the time, and people are like, how do you sign out from one of them? How do you, like, you have 4 of them in there. How do you sign out from one of them? Because like I only needed it to be in there for a little bit of time. Like just silly things like that. Chrome is not really built to handle, like it's not really built for that anymore. So let me show you what you should do instead. What you should do instead is instead of opening Chrome, right? If you go into Chrome right now, open it and then sign out of everything, you can kind of start fresh in a way, right? If you go into Chrome and you do the normal thing where you sign in right here with this, where your little icon is, you sign into your first account, you sign into your second account, it's not going to be good for you long term, and I'm going to explain why. What you should do instead is you create profiles. So if this is a new thing for you, it's called Google Chrome Profile, whatever it is. You click up here to the little smaller icon up here in the actual search bar and everything, and you come down. You can already see I have other profiles, but if you click on this little settings gear here, I can pull this thing in a screen and we could talk about it. You can see here that I have 3 profiles, 3 Chrome profiles, and I will show you instances of each one. But I Find a Tech, I have my personal one, and I have my Mark Joseph Szymanski one. And they can each have their own profile picture because they're each tied to a Gmail or a Google Workspace address, which is lovely, right? Again, we're talking about Chrome, but I'm almost certain you can do this in other browsers because it's a really good feature. So that's the whole concept of this video. If you want to click off now, you can. This is a new thing, you're like, oh my God, I immediately see the value of that. There you go. If you're not convinced yet, let me show you a little bit more of how it's actually like going from profile to profile here, how it's changed my life. So let's take a quick step back, right? In the past, I had one profile, maybe much like yourself. So everything was in this browser, to be exact, okay? So I had my one single account, my one single Chrome profile, and under that, I had multiple accounts. At one point, okay, a funny story, at one point, I actually had like 6 Google addresses, like email addresses. So I had the 3 that we've talked about so far. I actually had some other business ones as well, and they were all logged in to this one Chrome profile. Talk about a nightmare, okay? And the reason it's a nightmare is because of the things that having multiple profiles affords you, and that is things like passwords. I have a full list we can actually go to right now because that's probably where we're at in this video. 3 separate Chrome profiles, okay? So it gives you different independent passwords for each one, history, bookmarks, extensions, themes, colors, Google Pay methods, addresses, autofill, and settings. Like every single one now can be a new instance of those things, right? So you could think of, and you can already see it. If you've been really paying attention to this video, you already see what I'm talking about. So let me show you. This, and also they're color coded, right? So they're color coded. So you've seen this one has a red top bar, and then you probably saw the other one has like, this almost like this gray top bar. And if you pay real close attention between the both of them, look at the bookmark bar. They're totally different. These bookmarks are entirely different, and they're specific based upon the account that I'm in for the work that I will be doing when I'm in that account. So in the MJS, the red is the MJS one. In the MJS one, you can see like social media, you can see the YouTube, you can see, obviously some of them are going to be similar because I use the same things. But if I hit my tasks thing, I don't know if you ever had this happen to you. If you click the Gmail link, right, in your Chrome profile that has 40 accounts signed into, even two, I mean, I'm exaggerating there, but even 2 Chrome profiles, and you hit the Gmail button, right, then you are going to be sent to, you don't even know which one. There's ways around it. You can get a little creative with the linking, like the actual link that you're going to, whether it's like /1 or /2, whatever. But then you have to remember to sign into the same order. It's a mess. You don't want to do it. You just don't want to do it. So if you have more than one Gmail that you're logged into continuously, you got to do this. So point is that you will never have that problem, ever, in this case, because when I click this Gmail, the only one I am logged into, the only one I has access to in this profile is my Mark Joseph Szymanski email. It's amazing. Not to mention the password thing, okay? I know some of us, depending on how big our business is, we don't really see our business as different from our personal life, but truthfully, I think even if you want to stay small, it's still a good idea because there is separation there. And we don't have to talk about work-life balance, but just like the distractions of like personal life versus work life. If you really like the NHL or something like that, and you've got a bunch of NHL tabs up there, but you're also a web designer and you have a bunch of web design tabs up in your bookmark, that's not really conducive for good productivity. I mean, you're just constantly going to be like, getting like notifications or seeing different things, and it hasn't worked for me. Maybe it works for you, but it hasn't worked for me. So again, that's where we're at. We have one Chrome profile here for, Mark Joseph Szymanski. You can see another Chrome profile with all different bookmarks there. You can even change the themes up. Obviously, I just changed the colors just to make it as simple as possible. And then you can change, obviously, all the passwords and everything like that. All of the passwords stored in this Google Password Manager that you're seeing right here are personal passwords. Passwords for personal, like personal finance sites or whatever, anything else, right? Personal Amazon, da-da-da-da. All of these ones, you haven't seen this one yet. This is the blue, themed one, which is the Find a Tech one because the logo's blue. Right, and then you can see how many bookmarks we have up here that are all specific to the web design work that we do, right? And again, new set of passwords, new set of history. That's the other thing too. Imagine if like you're typing in stuff and instead of getting all of your work-related websites and web history that you can quickly click to or whatever, you're getting literally every single thing that you've searched from the personal side as well. It's just inefficient. It's a nightmare. Now you're probably wondering, I want to take a stop here, take a step back for a second. And you're probably wondering, okay, Mark, this is really cool, but like, what does this actually do just from a functionality perspective. I kind of understand that having multiple Chrome profiles, if I have multiple Gmail addresses or whatever, is beneficial because it's different environments and it's, conducive for a lot of things. Okay, but what does it look like though? Like, I mean, do I have to how many extra steps do I need to engage these profiles or anything? Well, the beautiful part is that Chrome and Google, I guess, have already thought about this, because all you have to do is, I'll show you what my taskbar looks like. All you have to do is, when you're setting up these profiles, you can just install them kind of as like a little app, pin them to the taskbar. Basically, you're not even installing them, you're just pinning them to the taskbar. Because you can see, this is what my taskbar looks like. We talk about this more in depth. There's a couple other golden nuggets I want to give you by the end of this video. But look at these last three right here. Yours probably just has one Chrome icon. Mine has three. And the reason it has three is because I want to be able to access those three profiles as quickly as possible. You don't even need to do this. You could just go back up to the top and switch the profile whenever you want. But I really, really love this, because at any point in time, I turn on the computer and immediately in my head, I'm like, am I doing something personal, something MGS related, or something Find a Tech related? And immediately I hit the right profile, and immediately I'm in an environment that is incredibly productive and efficient for whatever I'm doing in those circumstances. So, and also, as you can see already, you can have them all up at the same time. It's not like it's like a one or the other thing. This is just amazing. And then if you color code them, you immediately understand like which environment you're in at any given time. Super visual, super fantastic. But I just wanted to show you that, because those are what you can expect to have if you pin each profile to the taskbar. And then again, you can even have extra setting. I mean, I'm just scratching the surface here. So, but that is, it's no harder than it already is for you to interact with. It's really all upside. Let's go back to the notes here. We talked about all that. Main key benefits, as well as everything else that I've talked about, is you're not having to sign out of all accounts and switch accounts and do that whole layering of oh, I want my business first, then I want my personal second, then I want my other thing third, and clicking on Gmail, that whole thing that I explained. I know that you've probably experienced it. It's not fun because it's just silly. Profiles are the way to go. And then no commingling of business and personal data. We hit on that as well. Things like browser history or passwords or whatever. Think about this too, is if you are in Google Workspace, then you have that whole admin area that's associated with that. Now, again, other people might not be logging into that, but what happens when you want to share certain things from that account? It's still just a mess. It's that part's not the worst thing in the world, but I always wanted to have all of my passwords. I'll give you an actual real world example real quick. I wanted to have all of my passwords in my Find a Tech account. I'd said that for a couple years, and I never got around to it because it wasn't the worst thing in the world. But as soon as you create that profile, now instead of going to a website, clicking on passwords and seeing your personal password and your business password for that, you just see your business password because you put your business password in that profile and you don't see anything else. When you go to purchase something, instead of being confused by the other 5 credit cards that you have, you just see your business credit card in there. I can't explain how life-changing that is just from an efficiency standpoint. So, last thing that I want to talk about is, or the last benefit that I have listed here, that there's probably way more, is there's way less distractions, borderline none. Now, again, you could go to the bottom of your taskbar there and open your personal one and go mess around if you want, but you got to have a little bit of self-control. We can't fix everything with technology, but my point is that if you, again, I'll go back to the NHL example, or if you're looking at your fantasy team, right, and you got your fantasy thing up in the top bar here of your setup currently, but you also have that next to work stuff. It's you're probably gonna be working, and then you're just gonna see it out of the corner of your eye, and I wonder how my fantasy team's doing, and then you're gonna click on that. Well, if you don't give yourself that opportunity, which I'll give you an actual example of what mine is. If you don't give yourself that opportunity, then it's probably less likely to happen, right? So again, it's separating your work and your personal and maybe your third thing or whatever from each other. It's making it a lot better. Okay, so I want to give you some gold nuggets before I leave you here. Hopefully I've done a good job, and I'm not making any money off of this. I just really think that this is a better way to do this stuff. And I want to share this value with you guys. So if you're getting some value out of it, make sure you click the like button, subscribe for more content like this and web design stuff. But I want to leave you with some gold nuggets here that I didn't mention because they're kind of adjacent to what we're talking about. So the one thing that you might have thought of as well, if you're an astute thinker and you think critically about everything you hear, is that, Mark, I use things like Google Voice, YouTube Music, and Google Calendar. How does that interact with everything? Because I know there's different ways you can utilize that. Well, let me show you what I do. Let's go back over to the taskbar screenshot that I have put up here. So you can see right here. So I'll go through all the Google stuff. So I'll go through the whole thing. Is File Explorer, right? And then, oh, look at that little green guy. File Explorer, and then Google Messages, which is tied directly. It's like an actual desktop app, so it's tied directly to the main carrier lines. That's kind of like outside the scope of it. Steam, like to play games sometimes. Streamlabs OBS, Resolve, Local WP, which I'll make another video on. But let's get down to here. YouTube Music. Okay, you're probably thinking to yourself, Mark, what happens when you do that thing where you go to Chrome and then like the certain websites, mainly Google stuff, you can install, right? You can get like a little app like that basically on your computer. It really just opens up in the browser basically, but it looks like it's its own app. What's up with that? Well, again, the beautiful thing is with, let's take YouTube Music for example, in that account right there, when I click on that button, that icon, and it opens up, that is profile specific. So I went to the one that I have YouTube Music on, which is actually my MJS one because it's tied directly to the YouTube, I went to that profile. I went to YouTube Music. I installed it. So and I installed it from that profile, and it remembers, it knows. So every single time I click on that icon, it opens it in already signed in with all that history and everything like that to that account. So again, I don't know if you've had that problem where you've tried to install an app like that, and then you have the same situation happen to you like you did with the Gmail thing where you have to like switch accounts and all that sort of stuff. Definitely a little bit of a pain. Then same thing with like Google Voice. Again, it is tied directly to the right account, opens exactly right. And then Google Calendar as well, in this case tied to my personal stuff. Never have to switch accounts. Never even have to worry about it. It's profile specific. It opens exactly how you want. And I'm sure you could probably even have multiple of those if you really wanted to. You probably have 3 Google Calendars down there. They would look just like this with your little profile pictures. So again, super, super efficient. A couple more things here and then we'll wrap up. Multiple Google Drive, virtual drives, and Window Explorer. I can't really show you this exactly right now, but I'm going to explain it to you. If you're not using this, you have to be using it. I'll probably make another video on this as well because this is just kind of like the browser side of it. But again, the part that we actually have honestly overlooked in this video that is extremely important is why are you doing all this other than just the separation of that stuff? Really, it's the actual data, the stuff in your Google Drive. So I made this decision probably like 3 years ago that I'm not going to actually have anything just on my computer anymore, my SSD or my hard drive in my computer. I am going to have it all backed up directly into the cloud. And what I realized is that the easiest way to do that, at least in this Google ecosystem, is to go to Google, just type in Google Drive for desktop, download that application, and then you can have up to actually, I think, 3 accounts synced directly on your computer. And what that does is if you've ever been to your computer and you've gone to this PC and you can see like the C drive basically of whatever, however big your SSD is, that's where the Windows install and traditionally where all the files go. But what I've changed it up to is I don't put any files on my computer. They're temporarily maybe on the desktop or downloads or whatever, but they go to my virtual Google Drives, which are linked directly to my personal, my MJS, and my Find a Tech. So you can have those literally sitting in your Windows Explorer, those drives. And that, again, just multiple Chrome files and multiple Google Drives and everything like that. You can kind of do without the profiles per se, but it makes it a lot easier because now, again, everything's more efficient. You are putting the files directly into the exact environment that they go, the exact account, profile, whatever. And then on the actual end of it where you're playing around with them, where you're bringing them up on Google Drive or bringing them up in Google Docs or Slides or whatever it is, it's all consistent. It's beautiful. Last thing I want to give you is when we talked about distractions, because I do think that's a big motivator for everything we did here. This is extremely related, but slightly unrelated. 2 things that have changed my life on the distraction side of things. Not just this whole setup, but my vice, if you will, my biggest distraction is YouTube, because I'll go onto YouTube and my algorithm is keen to me, and I'll be watching either web design content, or a lot of times they'll get me with golf content because I suck at golf, and I'll just be watching this different stuff. Well, I realize that that's really, 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 really bad for me because the inefficiencies are so high. I get distracted and it's just a nightmare. I'll go down a YouTube black hole. So 2 things that have helped me, especially on this profile specifically that we're looking at here, because you can see there's things like LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. When I click into those, right, there's sometimes you're going to need to be in the social media realm. You have to, depending on what you're doing. You don't want to get sucked in, right? Most of the time. Maybe you do sometimes. But most of the time, if you're working, you don't want to get sucked in. You just want to kind of post and get the hell out of there. Well, let me show you a couple things. So I'm going to recommend these 2 Chrome extensions. If you use Chrome, I'm sure there might be in other browsers as well. But I'm going to put these links in the description. Again, they're just directly to the Chrome Web Store. They're free. Unhook changed my life completely on the YouTube side of things. You can kind of see a little bit from this from the screenshot here, but the big thing is like you can hide your home feed. You can hide those recommended videos that come up that always get you on videos that you're watching that are related to it. You could hide every piece of the UI of YouTube if you want. You can all switch them on and off independently. Crazy cool, right? So then just one more step on that. What I would say is subscribe to the people that you want to see their content. And then that's pretty much all the YouTube content you're watching, at least in this environment during work time. If obviously we need to look some things up at times, so that's fine. But I'm saying that if you want to limit those distractions in these main environments, that's a huge one. Second one is Newsfeed Eradicator, and it does exactly what it sounds like it does. You go to Facebook, you go to LinkedIn, and it literally, when you go to the feed, it says, you can put like a quote in there, a custom quote or whatever, but all the posts are gone, and it just says like, do whatever. And mine literally says like, get back to work. So, that one's a kind of a fun one, but I mean, again, it's like you're not going to get sucked into the doom scrolling situation. So, look, I hope that this video was helpful. It's a little different than my normal content, but this is a very real thing that we have to deal with as either solopreneurs or freelancers or agency owners. You're gonna have a personal life. You're gonna have a business life. They're gonna commingle, sort of, obviously, because you're one person. But if you can separate it as much as possible and still make it really efficient and not make it harder, a little bit of setup involved here, not much, and then you're off to the races. Trust me on that. So if you have any questions, if you want to see more content on how I specifically did this, I know I didn't do like super big tutorial here, but again, there's nothing crazy. Type in Google Chrome profile. I just wanted to give you the more of a review and a testimonial of how this has changed my life. And I really think that I would do the same for you. So take a look at it with whatever browser you're looking at. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I greatly appreciate you checking out this content. Thank you so much. More where this came from soon. I will talk to you in the next one.